All right, friends, for this video, you're going to need your math notebook, your pencil, and then the 2 sheets that I gave you to put in your red folder. One is called the Missing Dot Dilemma, and one's called Class Shoe Size. So go ahead and get all that. All right, go ahead and turn to the next 2 clean sheets, which is 158, 159. I want you to title 158 Dot Plot Example, and 159 we're going to title Dot Plots. So go ahead and do that real quick. All right, so a dot plot displays data on a number line using dots or X's to show frequency. So for this example, number of siblings, they used X's. So one person had 0 siblings. 2 people had 1 sibling. 1 person had 2 siblings. 1, 2, 3. 4 people had 3 siblings. 3 people had 5 siblings. 1 person had 6 siblings. So let's go ahead, excuse me, and we're going to make a note in our notebook on 159 that dot plot displays data on a number line using dots or X's to show frequency. And then we're going to draw an example. So here's an example, and this time I used X's. So go ahead and draw that example for your dot plots. So it'll either be a dot or X's to show how many frequencies. It's kind of like counting the tally marks. You're counting the X's or counting the dots. When doing dot plots, sometimes we have something called an outlier. And an outlier is any number in a data set that is very different from the rest. And I'm going to show you an example. Okay, so here I have an example of a dot plot on a number line. So I'm using dots this time. So I have one person who chose 1 for some reason, 1 person who chose 2, 1 person who chose 2 people who chose 2, 1 person who chose 3, 3 people who chose 4, 1 person who chose 5, and then I have 1 person who chose 10. Now, if I look at what outlier says, it says any number in a data set that is very different from the rest. Now, look at all these numbers. Most of my numbers, most of my dots or data is down here on this side of the number line. But then I have one random one way down here. This one is very different from the rest because most of my answers are covered down here. So because I have this one random one very different than the rest, then my outlier is 10 because it's different from the rest because most of them are found on this side of the number line. So go ahead and make sure you have that copied down. And then we're going to go to page 158. Okay, so we're going to focus on 158, but in order to do that, we're going to use this sheet called the Missing Dots Dilemma. So go ahead and get that one and write your name on it. If you look at the top, we have a table that shows the number of blocks stacked by students. So what we have is we have the number of blocks stacked. So some stacked 20 blocks, some stacked 21 blocks, some stacked 22 blocks, some stacked 23, and some stacked 24. And over here we have our tallies. I want you to make a line halfway through our tally box, right here where it says frequency. On this side we have tallies. I want you to write the frequencies for each one right there. So pause and write the frequencies. Okay, so for 20, you should have 4. For 21, you should have 4. For 22, you should have 3. Oh, sorry, for 22, you should have 2. For 23, you should have 6. And for 24, you should have 5. Sorry, too many numbers at once. Okay, now what it says is complete the dot plot using the data in the table. So here is my dot plot. I'm using this data. But notice this very important box, well, information, I'm boxing it right here. When you're doing dot plots, you have to pay attention to the key. I'm going to say that again. You have to pay attention to the key. You say it. Good. This says that each circle equals how many students? 2 students. So let's look up here. 20. How many students stacked 20 blocks? 4. So they started it for us and they put 1 circle here. So this represents 2. So in order to show 4, I need to add another circle. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Mine is not perfect. Okay. So here's 20. There's 22, but I need to show 21. So I'm going to go halfway in between 20 and 22, and I'm going to write 21. Then I have 20, 21, 22. This one's going to be 23. And then I have 24. What I want you to do is pause, and I want you to use this chart to finish filling in the rest of the dot plot. Then we're going to check. Okay, so for 21, I should have 2 circles because that's 2, 4. For 22, I should just have 1 circle because they had 2. For 23, oh my goodness, they had 6. So that's 2 that they drew for me. 4, 6. Now for 24, they have 5. That's 2, 4. Well, I don't need a whole circle because I just need 1 more. So I just need half of a circle. Make sure that your dot plot looks like that. Then I want you to copy down these questions at the bottom in the box. Which occurred most often? Which occurred least often? And what is the difference between the greatest and smallest stacks of blocks? So copy those down first, then we're going to talk about it. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to use the dot plot to answer which one occurred most often, which one occurred the least often, and then what is the difference between the greatest stack and the smallest stack. So difference means 2. So that's what you're going to do. Remember that the circles equal 2 each. When you're done with that, I want you to just fold it and just tuck it into page 158 because I'm going to check them when you come back. And then I want you to get the class shoe size sheet. All right, go ahead and write your name at the top of the class shoe size. I can't say that for some reason. What you're going to do is you're going to read the directions and use the dot plot to answer these questions. You're going to answer true or false after reading the statement. So read the statement and circle true or false. But then you have to tell me why you put that answer, either why it's true or why it's false. That's what you're going to do for 1 through 3. Then I want you to go ahead and write number 4 right here because you're going to select a statement that was false. So one of the ones that you chose up here that was false. It says explain to a partner how to rewrite the statement so that it's true. Instead of explaining to a partner, you're just going to rewrite it. So you're going to write the true statement right here. So whatever you would explain to a partner, you're just going to write it down right there. Okay? Then when you're done with that one, same thing. I want you to fold it in half and tuck it into 158 because you're going to bring these 2 sheets with you to class for me to check them to see how we're doing, because then we're going to do an activity with dot plots. That's all you're going to do for dot plots for tonight. If you have any questions, feel free to post them. Thanks, guys.